What is up, everybody? Hello, it's Wednesday. It's the 7:34 from WCCO. I'm Jason DeRusha. Did you watch all of the sports last night? So much to watch. You've got your Twins win, your Minnesota United win, which I knew they won. I was lying down in bed to go to sleep, and I heard my 12-year-old, yes! You're like, all right, they won the shootout. All right, guess that's how I get my news. It's all my sports updates all come screamed from the 12-year-old's bedroom. Let's get you up to date with today's weather. That might make you scream in joy as well. Another beautiful day, mostly sunny by noon, 79 degrees. Take your lunch outside today, don't you think? This is perfect. Dinner time, too. This is prime grilling season. Get that backyard patio or deck fired up because it is going to be just perfect. 84 degrees right before dinner time for happy hour. Let's talk about this. New research has found that millennials and Gen X parents are spanking their kids less than previous generations. This analysis was done by the U of M, published in the medical journal JAMA Pediatrics, found in 1993, 50% of parents reported spanking a child. Let's see, 93, I would have been entering high school, so yes, I would have been on the receiving end of a spank, perhaps. That was down to 35% by 2017. Experts have always suggested that parents should avoid spanking and use positive reinforcements instead. Oh, but sometimes, as a parent, don't you have that moment where you're like, I got a positive reinforcement for you right here, buddy. So we want to know what you think. This is very controversial. I don't know that there's a right or a wrong answer. Do you think it's okay to spank your children? How do you discipline? Are you different than your parents were? I was just kidding about me getting spanked. I was about as boring of a child as possible. Absolute rule follower. My brother, on the other hand, love you, Dan. He received the brunt of that action. Leave your comments on the Facebook page. We'll read through a couple in a moment. I should be careful. I know my siblings sometimes watch the 734 from Chicago. So maybe they can chime in on this in the comments. 2 Minneapolis police officers are out of the hospital this morning. This is a crazy story. They were hurt while chasing 2 suspected carjackers last night. Police say that chase ended with a big standoff in North Minneapolis. They arrested 6 people early this morning. So during the chase, the vehicle they were chasing crashed into at least one other vehicle along the way with a mother and a young daughter inside. That mom spoke with WCCO about what happened.
He didn't stop. He didn't smash on the brakes or nothing. He just kept on. He just hit us, damaged the car, tore the whole front end of my car. I'm glad me and my daughter was okay. That's what's important.
Yeah, we're glad they are okay, too. Both injured officers also appear to be okay this morning. Several people recovering after a bad, fiery crash in the North Loop of Minneapolis. Witnesses say this car was speeding down Washington Avenue just before midnight. They say it spun out, crashed, and went up in flames. We have some cell phone video from the scene. Yeah, there it goes. Wow, witnesses say they had to rush to pull people out of that burning vehicle.
They were cutting the seatbelts off of the people that were knocked unconscious and trying to drag them out while the car was igniting on fire.
Police tell us everybody inside was able to get out. At least one person had to go to the hospital, but everybody in this is expected to be okay, which is crazy when you look at that burned out, smashed up vehicle. Goodness. Police believe a white supremacist played a major role in escalating violence in Minneapolis after the death of George Floyd. These are the outside agitators that government officials and many people who were protesting were talking about. Umbrella Man, maybe you saw this video. Super weird video, right? This guy with the umbrella smashing out windows at the Lake Street AutoZone during the protests and the riots. Well, a tipster told police that Umbrella Man is a member of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. Investigators say he's a known associate of the prison gang Aryan Cowboys. WCCO not naming this man because he has not been arrested, nor has he been charged. Vice President Mike Pence slated to go to a private school in Raleigh, North Carolina today. The administration wants schools to open up entirely for in-person classes. Vice President wants to showcase how this private school is doing it, hopefully safely in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. From the federal level, they have been very forceful on saying they want all the schools to open up this fall. But as cases have risen around the country, different school districts making other choices. The Democratic governor of North Carolina, for example, has decided that school districts should reopen with a mix of online and in-person instruction, or, depending on their comfort level, go to fully remote learning. Tomorrow, Minnesota's governor is expected to announce what school here will look like this fall. But the superintendent of Minneapolis schools says, you know, if he were in charge, he thinks the best move is to start the new school year with distance learning again. Superintendent Ed Graff says he might have to change the plan depending on what the governor announces or orders tomorrow. The superintendent says, you know, he wants to change distance learning. He thinks they can do it better than they were doing in the spring. He'd like to see some in-person offerings. So maybe you'd have the ability to come to school to get mental health support or some tutoring or technology assistance. Greta Callahan is the president of the union that represents many MPS educators. She says she feels it's possible to improve distance learning and serve students without risking student or staff health.
We just desperately want to make sure that we can all get safe and healthy so that we can return to the classroom. Nobody went into teaching to teach over Zoom. We can't wait to be back in person, but we need to also be alive.
MPS says it will notify families of its plan for the fall shortly after the governor's decision tomorrow. Boy, what an antitrust hearing there's going to be on Capitol Hill today. I know most people, you don't get excited about an antitrust hearing. But these are the titans of tech, the CEOs of Amazon, Google, Apple, Facebook. Two of the wealthiest men in the world will face tough questions from a House panel today. They'll also face, like, how many of these questions are going to be absolute, ridiculous, out-of-touch questions that show how much legislators don't know anything about technology? It's going to be a high number of questions, I think. They've been looking into this for more than a year, whether the companies have abused their power and dominance in the online marketplace. It's a fascinating question, right? Because you look at these four companies, none of them have no competition, right? But are they monopolies? Have they abused their power? Is that just business? Is it illegal? Boy, lots of interesting questions to ask about that. And how do you break these companies up? I don't know. Fascinating stuff. We told you earlier this month, Lithbridge Brewery is selling a couple of its popular brews from the Minnesota State Fair, where you can get them in the tap room. And that process starts today if you want to pre-order. You guys know what a crowler is, right? It's kind of a size in between a growler and a 16-ounce bottle. So this is a can, like an oversized can. So you can pick up a can of mini donut beer, a big can, the crowler, or a pan of key lime beer. And you order today, pre-order today, and then you pick it up during the State Fair time, August 27th and September 7th out at Lithbridge in Stillwater. So good news there for all of us. I really do like that mini donut beer. I think it's a good beer besides the gimmick. So pretty cool opportunity there. All right, let's talk about parenting. That's our talker topic on the 734 today. New data showing that millennials and Gen Xers spank their kids at a much lower rate than boomers did. Eric Henderson is here. Eric, were you spanked?
I'm not going to answer that question.
It's a yes. It's a hard yes, is what that is. Yeah.
I'm over 40.
Yeah,
not often, but you know.
No, I know. I'm trying to think. I for sure have been spanked, and I also 100% deserved it.
Yes.
But like, do I spank my kids? No.
Right, and also at the same time, I mean, everybody who says they were spanked said I turned out okay. Is that true?
I know, yes. That's not a good reason.
Is every last one of you okay? I'm not sure about that.
I know. And we also, like, it's okay to learn things and do things differently than the way it always was done.
We had a poll. We put this to a simple yes-no vote.
All right.
And the yeses were about 2/3, and the no's were about.
So what was the question? What were
is it okay to spank?
Oh, is it okay? 2/3 said yes.
Said yes.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. I think it's okay to spank. I think it is preferred to not. Like, I guess I'm not militant about this. I wouldn't say, like, no, you should never spank.
Right. So Lindsay says spanking teaches kids that physical violence is the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sympathetic to that argument.
Kathleen believes that her son became a brat because she never spanked him.
Well, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. No one knows what's right when it comes to parenting. Right?
Becca says, I wasn't spanked. The idea that I was disappointed by my parents was bad enough to keep me from misbehaving. And some parents said the same thing, that their kids, if they give them a disapproving look, it's pretty much the same story there.
Yeah.
And then one more comment that I kind of liked. Let me find this one. Vamp for a second. Okay, yep. No, Tara says spanking creates mistrust between you and your children and teaches them to use and accept violence from those who supposedly love you most.
I think that the main problem with spanking is, as a parent, you think like, all right, I only in an extreme circumstance would I use it. But once you do it, like, what stops you from doing it again and again? I don't know.
Right, and what stops your kid from going to the line until they get spanked?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. Interesting research, though. It does show that the way we parent has changed, and whether it's good or bad, well, that's for you to decide, right? That's why we have these conversations and share the latest research and information with you. That's it, 7:34 from WCCO. We'll be back at this same time tomorrow.